Lovely, so hello there, it's Fiona from Weekly Sewing Bee. Now today I want to make a knitting needle roll. 4 knitting needles. Now, yes, how easy, I know, bit of a shame really. But I'm going to make 2 because I'm not the only person that knits. Now, the outer fabric doesn't need to be, it just needs to be something you like. It doesn't need to be canvas, it doesn't need to be anything. I'm using this canvas because I really like this canvas. And I'm really into lime green. I don't know if that's normal or not. And then we have the lining as well. Now the lining needs to be slightly smaller. I'm using sheeting because I like it to be nice and neat and clean looking. Fleece would be brilliant, felt would be good because they have a little bit of grip to them, so for when you're using it. Now the measurements, I only use little knitting needles, I'm sorry, needs to be your knitting needle and half again. So if you use big knitting needles, then it needs to be quite big. Now I'm going to start off, I'm going to sew a line down here and then I'm going to swish the fabric over and sew a line down there. This is so that we don't have any of the lining shown on the outside. So yeah, I'm on a simple running stitch. It doesn't even need to be a small stitch, although I have got it set on quite a small stitch. And I'm using contrasting thread, but it's entirely up to you. So I just get this done. Now I have the right side to the right side because I'm going to turn it inside out. And I'm not even going to go all the way to the bottom because I don't need to. So I'm just pushing it over, sliding it over. And I suppose the lining is probably an inch narrower. And probably 2 inches shorter. So that's that, quite simple. I also need to hem the ends. So whilst they're inside out, I'm just going to fold those over. I'm going to keep the lining out of the way because that's on the inch that we're not using. And it is just a matter of folding it once, folding it twice, and then running some steamers on. And these corners, they're all going to be tucked in, so that's fine in the next part of the sew. And I'm going to do the same to the other end as well. So it's all very simple. So folding once, folding twice, making sure that I don't get the lining all caught up, and then just a nice straight line sew. Now I'm using stripes. It can be a hindrance and it can be a help when you're doing straight line sewing. It just depends how confident you are, but you know, this is for yourself, then it doesn't really matter if it's slightly wonky, does it? So there we are. Okay. I'm just going to take it out of the machine. Whilst I'm cutting the threads, I'm just going to loosely chop all those wonky bits. Now what I need to do is I need to turn it inside out. And I'm going to give myself a little bit of room because I'm not going to iron it, although you could do. I'm just going to centre it by eye. I'm just going to push it flat, and what I'm looking for is an even amount of outer fabric on each side. So quite simple, quite simple. Now for the bottom, I'm going to fold it over so that I have my pocket, yeah? And I can attach that with a couple of pins. And for my top, I'm going to fold it over, and I'm going to make sure it's still tall enough. There we go. And I can attach it and then tuck in these little corners as well while I pin it. Okay, so it is taking shape, isn't it? And there again. I'm just going to use a pin just to hold it in place whilst I get ready for sewing. So that's grand. And for the top I can put a line of stitches just to hold it in neatly if I want to. Let's check, double check, cut once, check twice. Now whilst I'm sewing down the sides, I'm going to put my ribbon in and use that end. So, and I'm going to put this sort of halfway down, and I'm going to fold over this loose end so I keep it nice and tidy and put it in like that. And the same, trying to keep it as straight as possible. And the same length as well, so that it's nice and not tight, not baggy, but just the same length. Lovely. So I'm going to grab my sewing machine again, and I'm literally going to sew along that line. This will hold the lining in place and the pockets in place, and also the string. Now I am going to go over quite a large lump of fabric, so I'm just going to go slowly, and if I needed to I'd just help it round. There. Now I'm coming up to the ribbon. But I do need this for later, so I'm going to put that somewhere safe. I take my pin out, and I'm just going to fold it so that I know it's neatly tucked in, hold it in place, and when it comes up to the foot, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift the foot and put it under, and then I'm going to sew. This is so that the foot and the needle don't push it out of the way, because I want a nice straight line. Okay, and the same again with the top. Take my pin out and make sure it's all in place. I'm going to sew up to it. I'm just going to lift the foot and make sure it's all tucked under. And as I'm going over quite a few layers of fabric, I just give it a little helping hand. So, easy. Now, it's a bit more scruffy, the top, I'm just going to run a line of stitches across the top, and this is personal choice. This is just personal. There we go. Get it started. Okay, actually I'm not going to do it because it will be held in place by the lines going down. Okay, Okay, that will become clear in a minute. Alright, so I'm going over the seam again, just keeping an eye on the machine's not struggling too much. When I come up to the point with the ribbon, okay, I'm just going to fix the machine. There we are, sorry about that, the bobbin ran out. I wasn't expecting it. I'm just coming up to the ribbon again, so again I'm picking up the foot, tucking it in and then sewing across, and then I'm just coming up to the bottom now, so I'm getting this all nice and straight ready to sew. So I know, it's all good. Pick the foot up, wiggle it about a bit. Make sure that it's all in line still, because sometimes the foot does push it. There we are. Very easy to sew. Okay. So, I do need to trim my ends, but I would also like to put pockets in here. Now, I like to have a pair of scissors. So one of the pockets needs to be halfway across, and to measure that I'm just going to fold it and I'm going to mark where I'm going to put my pocket with a pin. And I find that if you don't make them asymmetrical, it looks really odd. So, and I'm going to put that in there as well. Okay, and for my other pocket, I'm going to fold it into a quarter, so I'm folding up to the pins, and then I'm going to mark this as well. I'm going to double check that. There we are. And last pin, fold up to the pin, and then there we are. So I'm going to do the 3/4 one first, or the quarter, because there's a reason for this. So, straight line, making sure that I hold the ribbon flat, and if I need to pick up the foot, then I need to pick up the foot. Now you can mark this line with pencil if you like. It just depends how confident you are. I'm going for speed rather than complete accuracy. So there we are, a couple of reverse stitches just to keep it all nice and tidy. And then I'm going to go to my centre line. Now the reason I did my centre line first was I'm going to sew up here, and I'm going to sew to the ribbon, but I'm going to place the spare bit of ribbon, so I'm leaving the needle down underneath here halfway through. This is so we can tie it up neatly. Now if you're more comfortable doing it from the other side, then that's fine. I suppose it's a bad habit, I always sew from the inside. So coming up to the next pin, making sure everything's tucked under, holding it taut, and there we are. Maybe even assisting it over the difficult bits. Lovely. So I need a serious trimming of loose ends here, which is my least favourite job, but other than that, I have finished. So what an easy sew this is. It'd be great as a present. If you have a side basket by your sofa and you keep your knitting stuff to hand, then this would be great so that grandchildren don't play with them. And you'll have everything to hand. Yes, it is my least favourite job, I'm sorry. And maybe I shouldn't be doing them with big scissors. Another thing you can do, you can either cut your ribbon at an angle, or we can just fold it over and put a couple of stitches in. I always like to do this because I just think it keeps it all tidy. So, but that's maybe me. There we are. Oh, I've got more ends. Yeah, and another thing I do is I snip the ends and then I leave them on the desk, and then I'll just pick up our end and snip it that's not even attached to anything. I'm terrible, terrible. So, my scissor hole and my knitting needle hole. And there we are, we can just roll it up. Not very well because I put the scissors in, and then we can just knot this. So, how simple is that? Anyway, thank you for watching. My name's Fiona from Weekly Sewing Bee, and please like, please subscribe, and please share.